The real villain was some guy behind his back who hired Ben Kingsley to play the villain because he has dark skin, which is to say Hollywood had been practicing this racist habit of having dark-skinned people play villain. And it was because of the authoritarian government of China that changed this. Yeah. I think it's very significant.
I think what you're talking about is cultural stereotypes, and you're absolutely right. But what I would say is it works both ways. Because, you know, I live in Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong we have a term called guailo.
Yes.
So guailo is a very racist term,
agree.
right?
Totally agree.
If you've ever lived in Japan, you know, so Japanese, when they look at foreigners, you know, they're gaijin, right? So I think it works both ways. And again, I say, how do you bridge this divide? I think it only comes by getting people together as individuals and as teams, as groups. And I don't think the politicians can solve it. I don't think the media will ever solve it. I really believe it's more people communicating and getting together, slowly changing opinion, brick by brick.
Right, yeah. I totally agree with that. I think a lot of direct communication rather than, you know, seeing all those films or TV presentation. I actually did some research. I think there's actually some growth in tourism just by total number of trips. If you see this one, because 2018 hasn't quite finished yet, so we're only talking about the first half of both years, 2017 and 2018. There's a significant growth in tourism. Regarding, you know, domestic trips and also international trips. There's, you know, more Chinese tourism traveling abroad and also more revenues. There's a 2.8% revenues increasing year on year. And also, we can see a lot of foreign tourists traveling here in China. We see there's 8% of people from coming from the American continent coming to China, and there's 12.1% people, European people coming to China. Oceania, there's 1.9%, and Africa, 1.3%. And of course, a large chunk is coming from Asian countries, which is pretty, you know, easy to understand because a lot of Asian countries share similar cultures. So,
absolutely.
Right.
So what does that say about the need to travel, to get out and to see and to meet and to break down those stereotypes?
Yeah.
I want to just go back to you. I think you made some great points about tourism because, you know, I have many friends that, because of media, they had a negative impression of China, you know, whether they're African or American or French or German. They come to China, when they travel here, their minds are totally blown. They're opened up. They say, oh, people are wonderful in China. You know, they were so hospitable. They're so nice. And so this is the way to change perceptions and change minds, is get that cross-cultural elements going, traveling, and get people to realize that, hey, we don't have to listen to the media. We can actually experience this firsthand.
And I think it's the other way around as well. As more people going out of the country, traveling around the globe, be the ambassador, be the cultural ambassador yourself, present yourself, tell people, tell the outside what is China really about.
So not just about international people from international countries coming to China, but also Chinese people really go out and see the whole world. Especially, I want to mention this famous, let's say, luxury brands called Dolce & Gabbana. They recently did promotional ads on, you know, portraying on Asian girls eating with chopsticks for those, you know, pizza, right? Really using chopsticks for the Italian food, and it was really. Do you guys see that? Tech industries, Douglas?
Yeah, I would look at it from the leadership and the commercial perspective. And I'd say, you know, as a leader, stop thinking about yourself and how great you are as a leader. Start thinking about how you're going to develop your people, your teams. How are you going to build trust? Because you have to empower decision making. You can't make all the decisions yourselves. Those leaders, whether they be in China, whether they be in the West, who actually do that and build their multicultural teams will be successful.